Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, this is the Dragon Whisperer, back with another video for the channel. And in this video I'm going to be telling you guys about an unfortunate tragedy that happened here at the reptile room in the last couple weeks. An incredible small miracle in my opinion that happened as well. And I'm also going to be showing you guys some of the techniques that I'm using right now to work with my really feisty Savannah monitor and my tegu. So the unfortunate tragedy that happened here at the reptile room recently was that I had Stevie Ray. He was a rescue dragon. People that are familiar with the channel have seen him before. And when I took Stevie Ray in, they thought he was blind, but the vet determined he just had a severe eye infection. And after a regimen of treatments of a lot of different kinds, we could never get Stevie Ray's eye infection to go away, and it ultimately cost him his sight. He deteriorated from assist feeding to syringe feeding, and then he eventually started becoming aspirated on everything I fed him. We tried a multiple variety of different consistencies and different kind of food ground up and blended up, and he wasn't taking down anything without putting it right back up. So unfortunately Stevie Ray had to be put down. I was able to hold him in my arms as he passed away, and he was recently buried in the backyard here at the reptile facility. So unfortunately Stevie Ray is no longer with us. For whatever reason, God decided that he wanted to take him. And I feel like, in my opinion, I did everything I could possibly do to give Stevie Ray the best chance to survive, and it just was not meant to be. But the small miracle is the saga of Bubba the Tegu, and I'm going to be showing you guys that in the video, as well as, like I said, showing you guys the techniques I'm using to work with him and Jax. So we're going to get straight into all that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let's hit the road.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Okay, you guys, this is Bubba, and I got him over 2 months ago, actually, in a trade for Valkyrie, my banana pectinata, because North Carolina has recently enacted a ban on black and white tegus that goes into effect August the 1st, so I was kind of in a time crunch, and I was able to get this beautiful Sky Panther line tegu, and I named him Bubba. I have a lot of setups that have the lights hanging down from the racks above, and that is what I had him in, and unfortunately, he escaped. I did not realize that Bubba had escaped until about 24 hours after his grand attempt, and I was going in and out a lot that day doing some work on some enclosure builds, and he was able to get out of the apartment. I spent days and days searching because I did not know that at the time, and at some point after about 2 weeks I gave up and thought that I would never see Bubba again. Well, about 2 weeks ago, I was out taking some trash, and I noticed a little head poke out from under the concrete pad that sits underneath my air conditioning unit directly behind my apartment. And when I got my camera, I was able to snap a picture, zoom in, and sure enough, it was Bubba. So I determined he had been living for the better part of 2 months underneath my air conditioning unit and apparently surviving just fine. After spending about 4 hours in 90-degree heat, I was able to dig out some areas and basically use a hose pipe and flush Bubba out into a cat carrier and get him back into the reptile room and into a quarantine situation. Now, I was extremely fortunate in the fact that there are a lot of stray cats and other animals that roam around in our neighborhood, and fortunately Bubba was able to avoid all those. He actually gained 10 grams, so he was able to find plenty of bugs and proteins by burrowing in the dirt to keep him at least moderately fed, and we've had a lot of rain, so he was hydrated well and showed no signs of dehydration when I was able to get him in and inspect him. However, he has definitely changed after his 2 months on the lam, and he is super skittish. He's super defensive. I have not at any point actually tried to put hands on him because I want to give him time to settle in. He's in a 4x2x2 now. I have made sure it is completely escape proof, and moving forward we're going to start working on getting this guy tamed back down and get him docile like he was before his escape. Now, this is a technique that I will use with Jax later in the video and take it a little further, but you'll see here with Bubba that their feeding response is something you can use to your benefit when taming down these animals, because most monitors, if not all, and larger lizards, they usually have a heightened feeding response, especially when they're juveniles. They're trying to take in as much food as they can so that they can grow into these big, impressive, intimidating lizards. So, especially because Bubba has been on the lam for the last 2 months, he particularly has a heightened feeding response. So, I'm going to use that to my advantage. Obviously, reptiles are just like humans. A great way to their heart is through their stomach, and Bubba here is no different. We'll take this technique further, and you'll see me utilize that with Jax later on, but for now, I'm just happy using the feeders to coax Bubba closer and closer to me, and he's going to eventually associate me with good things and nourishment and food items and treats, and that's going to greatly deflect his defensiveness and his fight or flight mode, and allow us to have more genuine interactions where we can create those Kevin McCurley bonds of thrust, if you will, or bonds of trust, not bonds of thrust. You definitely don't want him thrusting at you. You want to be creating bonds of trust, not bonds of thrust. And this is a 4x2x2 enclosure that I've worked hard to escape proof for this guy. He has an 18-inch high output UVB fluorescent fixture, and I've been going back and forth between high intensity basking bulbs and ceramic heat emitters, trying to get his basking temperature and his parameters all in line to where they need to be. He also has round vents on either ends for good airflow, and so the humidity doesn't build up too high. And he also has a little fan here that I have mounted that runs the entire time during the day that his lights are on, to help better circulate and ventilate his enclosure. And I'm hoping that he is going to enjoy living in this big space, and he's going to tame down quite nicely here in the next couple of months. One of the tricks that I actually got from Jeremy Turgeon, and Rob is Creeping It Real, and Kevin McCurley, I guess, kind of all three of them guys told me this, but definitely Jeremy and Rob the most helpful with this project as far as taming down big lizards and kind of lizards that can be a handful. The t-shirt method. So every night when I get ready for bed, I take my undershirt or whatever the bottom shirt is I've had closest against my body, and I put it in here in the corner. And if you guys will see, I have not disturbed him this morning. His lights just came on, but he could sleep under his log, or there's a bunch of other places he could sleep if he wanted to, but he curls up right underneath my t-shirt every night, and so that's really giving him my scent. And then every morning when I pull the shirt off of him, I give him a little pet, kind of let him know I'm here and wake him up. Of course, I am risking a bite right there because he was dead asleep, and who knows how he's going to react, but that's how I start every morning, by coming, taking my t-shirt off of him, giving him a little pet, and then at night, like I said, right before his lights go off, I'll place that t-shirt in one of the corners of his tank, but he seems to like this corner, and he curls up underneath it, so that helps to give him my scent and my kind of body odor, if you will, and get him used to my presence. That's a great little trick I learned from Jeremy and Rob. Throw a t-shirt in there, or a piece of clothing that you've wore, especially something that's been close to your body, and that will definitely help these guys get used to your presence and your scent. Alright, you guys, this is Jax, and I got Jax at the Repticon a couple of months back in Raleigh, North Carolina. Jax is wild caught, and he has a much spicier disposition than the two Savannah monitors I've worked with in the past. Jax is definitely full of attitude, but he is a beautiful specimen. He's extremely healthy. But the training methods I've been able to be successful with in the past have not been successful with Jax. I usually start all the training sessions by putting my fist inside the enclosure, moving some objects or things around, and manipulating things so that he knows coming into his enclosure is going to be a daily routine, that me coming into his enclosure is going to be a part of his world, a part of his environment, but it is nothing for him to fear and nothing for him to stress about. And This has usually worked in the past to tame them down in the beginning, but this guy has been extremely feisty, and I'm going to use the same techniques I used in my meanest bearded dragon video, where you kind of force them into learning that you are not a threat. And you'll see that Jax helps himself to a shot at me here, and this is when he's really starting to get into his aggressive defensive mode, where you're going to see a lot of tail flicks and headbutts. And at this point, I want to continue to engage him, even though I know it's stressing him out, because at this point in the taming process, other techniques are not working, and I have had success with this in the past. So I'm going to continue to try to interact with him and just try to make sure I'm not close enough that he can bite me if possible. And eventually I'm going to try to come in for some small strokes on his back with my fingertips and start to get him used to my interaction directly on his skin and with him. And if at any point in that interaction I feel like he wants to bite me, I'm going to pull back but try not to be jerky and look scared, and then I'm going to offer him my fist. This is going to be a far less serious bite if he does bite you on the fist as opposed to a finger stuck out there. But Jax is going to continue to try to show me how he's a tough guy, but ultimately at some point early in the interaction I want him to physically lick me. They have an incredible sense of taste and smell, and they are super intelligent, so it will not take them long, actually, after continued times of them licking you, before they realize that you're not food, and they will associate you with not being a threat. So you'll see later how this changes drastically once food is entered into the equation. But he's going to take another shot at me, then go into fight or flight mode. But I cannot give up at this point. That's when it's extremely crucial that you do not give up and let him think that behavior is going to get him out of the interaction. Then I'm finally able, at about the 3.5 minute mark, to get him to calm down and allow me to pet him for a 45-second stretch of nonstop tactile contact. And really 3.5 minutes is not that long of a period of time for him to be stressed out, and it's ultimately necessary for me to get him to where he doesn't do that at all. So it's like a little bit of stress now, but ultimately it will be less stressful for him in the long run. And like I said, you will see how drastically his mindset and his behavior changes once we address and add food into the equation.
Now, as you can see, he's still very, very much focused on me. He's still in a defensive type of a posture, but he's very, very food motivated. So, and just like I feed the tegu, they do get dubia roaches and hornworms for treats. But these are big super worms that have been gut loaded on collard greens and bell peppers and blueberries and other things, and they have been dusted with Repashy multivitamin. See, he is very, very food motivated. So this is one of the training techniques that I'll use with them. I'll wait till he finishes that one, but I'll offer him a super worm, and I'll get him to walk right up on me, and he'll start getting more used to that. He'll start getting more used to that tactile interaction and having my hands around him And we've been trying this technique for the entire time. So like for 4 weeks, he has been climbing up on me to get feeders, basically ever since I got him. But he still acts that way when I come into the enclosure to try to interact with him and pick him up if I have to clean, or getting him to let me just put my hands on him to pet him and rub his back, or to check him for stuck shed. I mean, these guys can get stuck shed. They need a lot higher humidity than a lot of the care guides tell you. I have a great care guide on my channel. I think it's one of the best for these guys on the internet. And but this technique hasn't been getting me as far as it usually does with monitors and lizards I've worked with in the past. He really doesn't mind me when it's food time, but he does not like me just coming in the enclosure to interact with him. Like if it's just my hand, he's weary. I really don't know if I have superworm like dust on my fingers, because I don't want him to bite me. See, he flicked my hand, and once he saw it was not food, he backed away immediately. That's what you want. That's what you want to see. But he'll come right back. You see, he was wary of my hand there. But we're going to keep working on those techniques, and you guys will see that in 3 or 4 months from now, he's going to be a lot bigger, and I'm hoping he'll be puppy dog tame, if not really, really close. He is a beautiful, beautiful animal. Okay, guys, once again, this is Will the Dragon Whisperer. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'm going to be posting soon about a mite infestation I had here at the room and everything I had to go through, so hopefully you guys will be able to learn from what I learned going through that whole terrible experience. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Smash that like button, ring that notification bell, and I cannot wait to see you when I post in the future. Hit me up in the comment section if you have any care questions about your animals, or direct message me on Instagram at dragon_whisper_. Thank you guys so much, and I'm out.